everybody who made the change to their schedules because of the weather that caused us to have to move the Tuesday meeting. I know everybody it was not perfect for everybody. Councilman Dorn, unfortunately, won't be able to join us, maybe a little bit later. He's just got a work conflict and could not move that around, so we're sorry we were going to miss him. But we're happy to have everybody else from the committee here tonight. Going to go ahead and, I guess, turn it over to you, David, first. We don't think this is going to be a very long meeting, but we certainly want to take as much time as we need if anybody has a question. So, David, if you want to start us off.
All right. Council members, all committee members, finance committee members, welcome. I'd like to take this opportunity to tell you our finances are in really good shape. Right now, on the first page of the document that you have there is the 2024.
Are we on the air? Are we? Oh, we are. Okay.
2024-2025 budget. Just to show everything that you have, I highlighted for you all the departments expenses that you have on the budget, and it comes all the way at the very bottom. You will see is $22,702,000. That is your grand total that you have on our budget, and it shows each department for the city. If you go to the next page, this is our year-to-date expenses on the second page. This goes through December 31st. We should be at 50%. Our fiscal year starts July 1st, ends June 30th. This is going to show you we should be at 50% of our expenses. So if you look on the far right-hand side, the top portion is the revenue. We'll come back to that. We're going to hit the expenses first. You will see there is one department, the shop, is at 50.03%. All the other departments are at less. Their overall expenses of the budget are less than 50% other than recreation. All the way down, you're going to see all the way through there, we're at 46.33% of our budget, where we're at. So we're under budget on our expenses for the year. The top are your revenues. You're going to see for the revenue portion, we're at 43.53%. That's that number showing you of our revenues. Let me explain something. Our big portion, why is our revenue not all the way at 50% or more? Our property taxes hit really in January. If you've got a mortgage or you pay in through your mortgage, they don't really send it to December 31st. So whenever we get January, working on January stuff, all those payments are coming in right now. So they're coming in January when they actually get their postmark. They're all sent electronically December 31st, but we get them all posted after January 1st. So your numbers are going to be looking good for the revenue portion, just on that portion. Our expenses, we're in good shape there.
Hey, quick question, yes, Mr. Humphreys. Explain the 108.65% on revenue with police. What?
Oh, they receive a payment that we only estimated $180,000 that we're going to be receiving on that. Chief, y'all's revenue sources.
Some grants and things?
Ones that's in there. But there's a large revenue source that comes in through the police. I have to go pull my documents on that. But there is an increase, and we received $196,000 year to date on that.
Okay.
So we have had a large increase on the police department's revenue source. Not from tickets or anything like that. It's
I think they get some big grants and different things.
They received some grant funding that was left over. We received 2 before I left, and they're in the process of inboarding the third one.
Okay.
So that number is actually going to go up by the time y'all probably get to the final.
That's great.
So that 108,
Good work.
we're over.
Good work.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, you're going to see that we're up on that one, and you're going to see where on the fire department we had budgeted was $80,000 of revenue, we received $81,000. That's their insurance fire rating check that we received on that one.
Kind of a one-time
thing.
thing.
One-time payment.
Okay.
So the good news is the variances are very, very close across all the department lines. You see a few little bobbles here and there above and below. So that's real good work. I think David's done a good job of getting the supervisors, keeping them kind of focused and watching the purse strings, and so that's a real good improvement we're seeing.
So, question about these various revenue streams. Are they earmarked for a particular department when they come in? For instance, let's just look at the police at 108%.
No,
Or do they return to the general fund?
general fund, this is all general fund revenue.
Thank you.
Except that they got grant money, right?
They've got
I mean,
grant
the
money,
grant
but
money
it's-
would be,
Some of that may be body armor, grant money,
The
it may be
grant
their
money's
money.
granted for a very
that type of stuff,
specific
but-
expenditure.
That is correct.
That's non-negotiable.
But it will be all going to the general fund.
Councilman Boucher, you have to remember, like VEST, for example, that's a backfill we get. We spend that money up front out of the general fund. We apply for the grant, the VEST partnership, it comes back to us. So Mr. Humphries will replace that amount of money back into.
gotcha.
If you will go to the next page, the third page, you're gonna see at the top left-hand corner, you're gonna see that shop. Department 101, that's your shop. I highlighted for you everything on the far right-hand side, anything over 50%, they've spent more than what they should have budgeted for so far this year, because it's halfway through. You're gonna see office supplies, operating supplies, operation of equipment. We had some equipment had to get repaired. Yeah, some of that stuff you just cannot help it. Repair and maintenance of heavy equipment. We've had some rentals that we had to take care of. But if you look at the grand total at the bottom, we're 200 and something bucks over. So by the time you factor in salaries, everything else, that 50.03%.
So the health insurance,
Yeah, okay.
60% over.
That is correct. That was, they had another person that was hired and took health insurance, so that raised the number on that one.
Okay, so that's just an addition
That is
of
correct.
somebody.
Yes, sir.
So this is one of the two departments, I'm sorry, Tom, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, one of the two departments that David is feeling like we want to do an amendment to just kind of correct for the record. At the end of the year, there'll probably be a lot more corrections because it has to be very tight at the end of the year.
Correct.
But just a couple to go ahead and correct those and make the amendment happen would be for shop, which is $250, and then recreation. Do y'all want to take a look at that real quick?
Yeah, recreation is Department 5106. You will, about 8 pages back, the left-hand side, you'll see
Oh, did you have-
5106. At the top right, it's going to say page 15.
I'm on the wrong page here.
Recreation.
15.
You're going to have janitorial was over, lawnmower, weed eater, we were over. Now remember, this is now the winter months, so that's not going to be the expenses that we have for that one right now. So that one should be dropping as your percentage, as your months go on. Operation of equipment, we're up on that one. Permits, repair and maintenance vehicles. We had some repairs and stuff we had to do on some vehicles. One set of tires, y'all, is $1,000. So we had to take care of that. You're gonna see uniforms, utilities. We were up on utilities. We had, Keys Park, all the Christmas lights, everything on that factored in right now, all this part of the year. So as the year goes on, we hope that's gonna level back out. But right now, we're up.
What is the dues, registration, and subscriptions?
I think that's,
That's for any type of training, registration that they have, that they've set their personnel to go to any classes, any type of registration, any software, anything that they use. Now, but the Optimum is going to end up being under their telephone. And, the big one, you're gonna have Bulow Lake. We budgeted 25, we spent 32,000, so that one is up by $7,000. We had some picnic tables, different things that we've purchased for out there, so that was one-time purchases. So that should, like I said, should level out during the year, but we're at 55.22% in that department, which should be only at the max of 50% right now. Overall, you will see, again, on the second page, you're going to see all of our departments have been doing good, except for those two. Those two are the ones that had the expenses, and that is primarily their biggest expenses is going to be Christmas. We did Christmas on the Keys, at Keys Park. All those expenses ends up going through recreation out there on a lot of that stuff that we did there. Utilities, we had some inflatables, different things. So it's going to hit them hard.
So I have a question about the shop expenditures. In particular, I noticed that the items that seem to be significantly over budget are related to equipment, both in the operation and the repair and maintenance of it. In particular, the repair and maintenance, was any of this scheduled? And my concern is that, you know, we're only halfway through the year, and it's still very well that we could have equipment fail and need to get it fixed.
Correct.
And that's why I'm asking, did we anticipate these
No,
kind of?
what we went off of our history last year was based on our historical data on our repairs. As our equipment is getting older, we are going to have more repairs on it. That's why we have a cycle of replacing equipment with caps each year. So in there, they had a zero-turn mower. You're gonna see under lawnmower repairs and maintenance and stuff. We had some spindles, we had decks and stuff we had to replace, so it's gonna be cheaper for next year to replace that whole mower, and it'll cut off on our overall maintenance and repairs. We had some equipment that we had to fix out there at the building itself, repairs and maintenance on buildings and on grounds at Keys Park we had to fix, and that hit. We had to have an electrician come out there for Christmas on the Keys to go out there and run the electricity to put all the lights up and fix the receptacles out there.
Yeah.
So they were safe when people were walking through there.
Absolutely, and in the scale of, you know, heavy equipment, these are pretty
Yes.
small numbers, if not rounding errors. Yeah, I was just wanting to know largely how the state of, you know, our equipment was and that break-even point.
The big equipment is
replacing and
in
maintaining.
more the public works, like the streets, the main drainage, that area.
I see the excavators out all the time, it's
It's
to
a lot.
repairing water
It's a-
lines and
yeah.
cleaning up, so yeah,
That's where
they're
the big-
heavily utilized.
And we had 12 or 14 trees cut out there at Keys Park that were dead pine trees. We had to get a lot of pine trees removed. We had a lot of timber we had to get cleaned up, cut out there, and we had a lot of expenses to do in that whole area.
Well, I have to say, you know, for a lot of things that were unexpected with the dead trees and the drought and all those sorts of things, to be fairly close as we are here, really not even needing an amendment by the book, but we're just going to do one just to be as clean as we can be with this. I have to say that I'm pretty proud of how the department heads and finance and administration has worked together to, you know, keep a pretty tight rein on things. And, you know, some things are going to be higher, some are going to be lower, and it's just a matter of just keeping improving those kinds of processes to squeeze everything we got. Good job. Any other questions about any particular department that you see, anything, a question about anything in here?
I had a question, and maybe our new CAO, former police chief, might be able to answer from the coroner fees. You know, they're
Oh, if you
way
die,
up. I mean,
we ain't got no control over that.
how many people are we
What does that
losing?
say about our
If you
population?
live here or you die here, we pay for it.
Yeah, what does that say about our population?
The coroner fees, that's just for
What page
anybody
is
who
that,
dies.
Mr.
That's
Boucher?
page 10.
Anybody that
Page 10.
dies within the corporate city limits of Pineville, and anyone that dies within a certain amount of time of being hospitalized in Alexandria, I forgot exactly what the time frame is, but if you're hospitalized in Alexandria within a certain amount of time and die in a hospital there, we still have to pay the coroner fee here. The coroner fee, they put in a new fee schedule. I don't exactly remember what it is, but if they call the body by release, they don't show up, it's a certain amount. If we have, of course, with fentanyl, we have to do more of them showing up than what we did in the past. By them just showing up, that fee increases a little bit. Autopsy fees have increased. Even just doing a regular toxicology screen has increased. I want to say autopsy fee is almost doubled from what it was 2 years ago. That's there. And
'Cause,
so
I mean,
all those
that means
fees are
that
dropping.
we really severely under budgeted there.
And it's one of those, I mean, historically, I've dealt with the police department budget for about 15 years. Historically, it's a moving target, and you can stick a number there, and that's the best you can do. You try and use as much historical data as you can, but you just don't.
Yeah.
And it's
You
been
just don't
difficult to predict inflation on lots of
Sure.
these kinds of
And
things.
we didn't know, of
Fuel,
course,
gas,
the
oil.
coroner's office, I'll say just this and I'll walk away, the coroner's office fiscal year is different than our fiscal year, so they made the changes to their fee schedule in our mid-fiscal
mid.
year. So we had under budgeted using historical numbers of what the fee schedule was.
Gotcha. Thank you, sir. And the same thing, gas and oil
Correct.
is really killing us
Utilities.
almost in every department.
Yes, sir. We are now having, all of for our fuel costs, they have increased. We have, but understand, it's a double-edged sword. It is warmer, no matter however your views on it. Used to, you could cut the grass starting in April. By September, you were pretty much through. That was our last major cutting. We're starting now in February. End of January, February, we could really start cutting the grass again. It's starting to grow, and we're going into November. So we have an increase in fuel cost and oil cost and everything to operate their equipment. It is another month and a half longer for the whole year for us cutting grass.
And it's for our vehicles too. I
Yes,
guess,
sir.
I guess we have them out, the police cars out patrolling a lot more than what they were doing before,
Yep.
which is why we're seeing a lot of gas.
And plus, we're doing, I know it's not reflective now, but it will be in the future, we're doing a lot of upkeep maintenance that we're having, they usually have downtime on mowers now. We have them going doing the sidewalk project and those things. we discussed with y'all
Right.
that they're
Yeah.
gonna do. So we'll see a little bit of a ripple effect on that.
Yeah.
Good, good.
When our repair and maintenance on vehicles too seem to be, up in most categories of our departments. Are we seeing a lot more accidents occurring?
No, sir,
or-
it's not an accident, but the cost of any repairs that we have, we've had some accidents, and the cost for those accidents have been expensive. But our big problem is first, number one, we put all the amber lights and everything when we've got the rental fleet in every one of our vehicles. We put it through the cigarette lighter. That ended up being an issue. We're now having to pay roughly $150 per vehicle to get them rewired. So it's a direct wiring through a switch so it doesn't drain the batteries. We were having lots of batteries issues with our vehicles, the way we had it wired before. So we've got that repair going on. And it doesn't take but one or two of them getting dinged or hitting something or having an accident, and it's several $1,000s. That's where our biggest part of our repair and maintenance, and we do have some older equipment. We're going to be doing some more vehicles in the rental fleet. We're going to be looking in March, Mayor, for a auction. So we're looking at doing an auction again in March. We've got equipment that we're going to have in the auction, from equipment to vehicles. And so we're going to try and get rid of some of the older equipment that's costing us so much.
Now, the standard maintenance on our vehicles, because we went through the fleet service, refresh my memory, is that all covered?
No, sir.
As far oil changes,
Yes.
are we at oil changes, tire rotations, that kind of thing?
No, it is primarily just your oil changes. It's just like if you purchase a vehicle and let's say you got the extended warranty and let's just say included oil changes. It's going to be the vehicle, but any maintenance, windshields, you tear up a tire, you cut a tire, we're responsible for that. And we have the same thing. We have vehicles that have broken windshields or broken side windows. We've had a tire that had to be replaced here and there. And if you purchase tires, you're talking $200 to $300 per tire.
But the shop is doing a lot more of the repair work and maintenance work. That's been a real plus.
If it's a rental fleet, we go through Enterprise, we go through one of the local oil exchanges to cover the oil change. If there's anything, we have Omar in the shop department. He does tire replacements. He puts new ones on the rims and everything like that.
Yeah, that's been a real positive.
I'm going to hand this to y'all. If you will look at this, this is a recommendation that we have for y'all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This would be the amended budget. On page 1, if we're amending the budget, it would be 5% or more of a change. I went in and during y'all's last council meeting, there was a recommendation for a legal settlement in the amount of $188,500. That's an unexpected expense. So if you flip to page 2, I created an account under City Hall Admin called Legal Settlement, account number 1038, for $188,500. So in the department, City Hall Admin account, Department 108, their budget would increase from 1.9 million to 2.1 million. That would cover that expense. With that change to it, it would make a 9.73% change to that department, adding that to it. If you look at the bottom of page 1, I went in and I added the 188,000. Recreation, I took their expenses year to date and I doubled them for the rest of the year. That would be a $72,000 increase. And the shop would be a whole whopping $250 increase. But we would add all of our changes together. That'd be $261,000 in increases, which was a 1.15% increase.
The total public work, oh, never mind, total public works, I got you.
That's just for roadways.
Yep,
So it's less than 5% increase, but I would rather, with the legal
1%.
change, legal stuff, that we make an amendment to our budget to add it, to show it, and it would be in our budget.
Yeah, that's an outstanding number, 1.15%, when we've seen inflation across the board.
Yes, sir.
What?
And some unexpected things, I mean, things we
No,
just
so
can't plan for.
that's a phenomenal throttling, or what you may say, of expenses.
I increase as recreation. We are doing more and more. If you notice, there's going to be a Mardi Gras on the red event. There's going to be other events. So that's going to be cost. There's going to be porta-johns. There's going to be different bands. It's going to be different costs. So I want to make sure all of our expenses that we have are going to be captured in these numbers.
so recreation has that in their budget.
Right now,
No, we're
community services has most of that in theirs, but recreation is going to also have part of, they may end up having the porta-johns and different things added in there.
Okay.
So I've got it covered with the recreation budget.
All right,
Recreation and community services was together. We got separated last year.
That's
So there's a
been-
lot of
that's been
stuff
nuts
that
for
happens
years.
in community services and recreation that's still commingled.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's,
Do a better job next year of segregating both of those. What's gonna be
I think we've been
But
seeing
this is just the
improvements
first
there
year.
every year. It's just a matter of just continuing that improvement, so.
Can I I'm gonna plead ignorant here for a second, being the newbie. Of course, recreation, and then community services. Recreation being like Ward 9 ballpark, no,
Well, Ward 9 is completely separate from the
That's
city,
separate.
it's not a thing. But think of those type of activities for recreation.
Right.
So, that would be more of that nature. They mentioned Keys Park. Keys Park would be a good
Okay,
example
yeah,
of recreation.
yeah.
Community services, and Dave can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's more of what we used to call the building department. They're gonna maintain our community centers.
Okay.
Things of that nature. that
Main
operate
Street and
in
Keys
Gotcha,
Park.
Main
gotcha.
Street, community
It's-
center.
Right,
It's
yeah.
fuzzy.
Upkeep of
They're-
of
they're
those
both fuzzy. They're
facilities,
fuzzy.
gotcha. Okay.
Oh, good
Yeah,
question.
the actual Ward 9 complex has its own board.
Okay,
Yeah.
As far as the actual site.
right,
It's paid for by Pineville citizens, though.
yeah.
David, I had a question, and just to show on the Public Works, 5110-1280, insurance vehicle liability, year-to-date, we've spent $0. Is that just because the bill hadn't come in yet?
That's
I mean,
correct. They
Okay,
come in February. Everything, your vehicle insurances and all that comes in February. I
Okay.
just paid, airport insurance this week, so, and all your vehicles start in February.
okay.
So, on the general fund, the recommendation, if you will go to the very last page, and y'all can change the wording on it, whatever you would like, but I'm just asking that the finance committee recommend to the council amended the 2024-2025 general fund budget by $261,550. That's the amount on page 1 at the very bottom. The increase in the 2024-25 general fund budget is due to the increase in city hall admin, legal settlement, recreation, and the shop budget.
I think this sounds good, David. I appreciate your putting these together for me. The only thing I would ask for in a motion to recommend would be that we add that $261,550 is just 1.15%. I mean, it's a
Okay.
pretty small amount percentage-wise. You know, you're talking about $22.5 million. It's not a giant amount, but it is important that I think we get kind of all the credit we can for the work we're doing. So I guess I'm looking for a motion then to recommend to the council amending the budget as he's kind of outlined here, this 261.5, the three budget items that would be increasing: the legal settlement, the recreation area, and shop.
Before we get to that, one more question.
You got some more?
On the last page of the community services, the contract labor of $30,771.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a
that
good-
was already asked. Okay, I have Remedy staff.
Last page.
Remedy is a staffing
Very last
agency.
page.
We use them for all types of stuff in the
Contract
community
labor,
services.
contract labor.
We have
11.4.
employees for the
Oh, yeah,
splash
that's what I was saying.
pads, everything at Keys Park. We have them for different events that have to work, and we use Remedy staffing for all of that, and that's what those are.
But we didn't budget that in there. I mean, we had a zero. Was that something new that we're doing?
No, sir, it is for community services. It was under recreation, and what we did was, if you look at the salary line, we did increase. With the budget, it was 246, we have spent 133, we're a fraction over on it at 54.33%. But the Remedy and all the other staffing agencies that we use at Keys Park and different places, that was not included. So we're going to increase our budget next year to look at all
To
this.
try to cover that in case we have to.
That is correct.
And it's mostly offset too with the unscheduled overtime line item, which is kind of a component of the salary.
And we've not spent any there.
Yeah, so it's mostly offset against that.
It's offsetting that. Oh, that's a good point, Stephen. Thank you.
What
And
line item is
Oh,
that?
there it is. The
It's
second
the
line
$20,000,
item.
that's the overtime
Nothing there.
line on there.
So that's,
Except we're not through with the year yet.
No, sir, no, and we're at 20,000 and 30 in the others.
Okay.
good questions. And I want to just mention that anything else that you all think of later, as you're, mulling this over before you go to sleep tonight, David is very, very open, the mayor and chief are very open to any kind of question that you might have about, oh, I thought about this question. Don't ever hesitate. They're wide open and very available. Dave is a pleasure to work with, as you know, and chief and the mayor are always ready to kind of, hash it out and say, well, can we improve this and can we improve that? And they're doing a good job of, I think, of improving things. It's just a matter of continuing that.
And if you want any details, every one of these accounts, I can give you the details of what makes up these numbers. It's just a thick packet, but I can give you all the details of all the transactions. So if you want to, okay, what makes up this number right here? What do we spend on? I can show you all of that information. But right now, our big thing is, we were way less than our 5%.
Yeah.
Even with making the change, we were still in good shape. Our businesses, our community are being supported in the city of Pineville. Sales tax revenues have been steadily climbing. Over the last 2 years, there's been a steady increase. We've been very, very lucky. Businesses are being supported. They're doing very well. We're going to keep supporting our businesses. We are taking care of our employees. We're getting new equipment. We got nice vehicles for them. We're going to make sure they got uniforms. They have all the stuff they need to do their job. And we're supporting the employees and taking care of them. And I just think that's a big part of what the city does. We're working on water, we're working on sewer projects, working on road projects, street signs, drainage, you name it, all across the city. There's constantly improving stuff. Trees, you would not believe how many trees are dead throughout the city that we're cutting every day, having to get cut down and dropped because of dead trees throughout the city. So there's numerous things that are going on all the time, and it just costs to do all of that.
Yeah. And some of it you just can't see coming
No.
when you're doing the budget back in June, whenever we're doing that. You just have to just anticipate the best you can.
Well, I appreciate the
job.
job you're doing, Mr. Humphreys, as well as all the
Absolutely.
department heads.
Yeah.
And the mayor, the job that you're doing since you've come in, and with your new CAO, Mr. Basco, doing a great job. I will make the motion, Chairwoman.
To recommend?
Frederick, to recommend, to make these recommendations to the city council at our next meeting.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Ford, thank you, Mr. Boucher. Okay, all in favor of that recommendation, say aye. Aye. Any nays? Okay, motion passes.
I have a quick question now that that's done,
Yeah.
because I don't
No,
think
go
that
ahead.
would affect what we're doing here. And if it's not the right place to have, you mentioned on the recreation and going through a temp service for some of the folks that are working that, and I don't know if this is something that can be done, but like, for instance, at the high school, you have the service organization clubs that are there and the athletic departments. Could we possibly reach out to them and do some type of, like a paid internship during the summer for such as that? Is that a possibility?
We
And
had
I,
an issue before with animal control, I'll use that, I know
Okay.
that one, for example.
okay,
There was a thing, I don't know if it was the audit or whatever, but our general liability insurance, and it was dealing with insurance for volunteers and different things that came in, and to make sure they were covered.
Right.
And so that's why we found it was better for us to go through seasonal work to do the
Okay.
temporary job service instead for insurance purposes, and we were covered with the
Sure.
liability.
You've also got
Understand.
the challenges hiring kids that are under 18 when you've got labor law issues, and
Right.
that complicates it as well. So your pool is much more limited and of more limited value, because once you have the insurance complications in, you're not able to fill as many spots as you'd like.
right, gotcha.
Yeah, it's a little bit challenging.
It's a good idea, just nothing simple about
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
anymore.
We've come a long way since the old Keys Park swimming pool days with the lifeguards. And,
But there are organizations that do work with various projects that we undertake. So
Right,
it's good.
right.
The litter abatement and some other
Just
things.
for your knowledge, we do utilize Key Club, for example.
Great.
Key Club at Powell High School, for them to get their community service hours.
Right.
They come out along with LC's football team, volunteer like at Fall Fest, to help cook hamburgers and popcorn for the kids.
Right, right.
So we do cooperate with the organizations you're talking about and utilize them when it's appropriate to the city.
Awesome. And I do know too that after we had the Pineville High, the football banquet last week, and I know Coach Charles, he would love to have those guys, at various events like that to do stuff too, because he's gung ho about getting them out there and being seen in the community and working.
Sure, we do have a relationship with Dr. Carpenter.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's great, yeah.
Yeah.
Good
So,
deal.
the question is if we're not paying them or compensating them, do we still have the same insurance implications?
A lot of those events are covered under single policies with
Okay.
related to the event, so that gives you some security on that.
Very good.
As far as day-to-day operations, I think that's where you get the deal.
Okay, I was curious as to that. Thank you.
Sure.
Because it's
It's a minefield.
splash pads for the have students there, the employees there. It starts at 8, I think 8 in the morning to either 6 or 8 in the evening. So it's open all during the summer hours.
Yeah.
It's open for several hours a day. And we have to have someone there on rotating shifts the whole time that it's in operation.
We have to have somebody there. They'll just,
Yeah.
we just,
So I had one quick pointed question on the janitorial, and, that seemed to be on the increase in almost every department.
Correct.
Is that, it's not necessarily supplies, but what all does that encompass?
That is supplies. That is everything. We're winning them through the purchasing department. We have them and they purchase from Pine Sol, toilet paper, paper towel, all that's gone up in price.
It's just
I can tell you
inflation.
It has gone up considerably in price. We do copy paper, office supplies, that's office supplies, but we got janitorial supplies and all of that, it has increased in cost.
Okay.
I mean, just like you're seeing it at home.
We're gonna have to, next year, I'll just tell you, when I started, some of the valve cover, for a valve, when they split a line out in the field, coupling or whatever they call it, it was like $97. And now it's over $200 and something for that same part. So cost of everything has gone up considerably, and each year everything keeps going up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're just not immune to inflation like all of us at home in the grocery store when the city's not
No,
immune
yeah.
to that.
I was just wondering.
No, good questions. Anybody else have a comment, or?
I know we want to wrap up, but if I can just take one.
Oh, we're good.
second to
We're good. We got
say
time.
something That, was really cool during the audit that I didn't get to say as a positive previously, that I'd like to take one quick second to recognize, okay? Coolest thing that I got to see the city buy last year, I saw an invoice to a boot store, okay, and I couldn't quite figure it out.
That's right.
But David put in a program making sure that all the utility workers, you know, have work boots that are appropriate and safe, that they can go every day, because he went out of his way and he noticed while they were working that they come in with shoes in their boot, you know, and holes in their boots rather, well, there ought not be holes, okay, not when you put your foot in, okay, that's all I say that to say, look, at the end of the day, that's something awesome that the city got to do for very little money that really impacted the day-to-day life of the hundreds of people that work in those departments. That it was a meaningful amount of money to them individually. It had been 15 or 20 hours of work, and they just weren't gonna do that. They'd rather duct tape their shoes, and that's a cool thing the city got to do, and y'all got to be a part of it. So that's something to celebrate while
Cool.
we're talking about all the bad stuff. I want to take one thing that's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Outstanding.
Yeah, that was a great observation that David and others made about the footwear, that, you know, that just, you just can't have people working in those kinds of conditions without proper footwear.
Well, to give David a shout out, that's what happened. You got a finance director who knows the problem, and most of the time, you don't
Sorry.
have people that are in the C-suite or making decisions up here noticing the footwear of your guys that are working. So that's indicative of somebody who sees what's going on in the front line, solves the problem, and does something to improve everybody's quality of life. That's very cool.
That also helps shield us, you know, from workers' comp claims. Somebody doesn't have
Absolutely,
good
yeah.
footwear.
Yeah.
Well, they're imported, okay, so there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I also want to pat David on the back for that sort of
Yeah.
behavior. He's really taken ownership of a lot of these issues. He goes and looks at it and investigates and checks things and sees with his own eyes, you know, what's this about the sewer pump plant or whatever? He goes and gets educated about it with, you know, people that know what they're talking about. And so he's really, to notice the footwear thing was a huge thing, I think, for individuals. But also just their uniforms. And now we have people on public rights-of-way and in people's yards who look like they belong to the city. They're not just somebody walking down the street. And they look nice and neat. We got them sun hats, just small things that make a big difference for people's morale. And so I've said before, our employees are working for a different kind of currency because we certainly don't pay them big money. But the fact that we care about folks, we want them to be healthy.
And while I happen to be here, the same person on Adams Path complained about 19 times about their water meter, okay? They must send everybody in the office go read that meter, okay? But everybody responded with a good attitude.
Awesome.
Everybody said, I ain't gonna say who he is because he's a well-known butt, okay? I know why. But every time they said, yeah, we go, not a problem, I'll tell him again, okay? We read it again. And I think that one kind of leads to the other. I thought it was worth, you know, honoring and making sure
Awesome.
y'all know about it, so.
I think the more we can catch people doing good, the more we need to say and do that.
Sure.
Yeah, good job. Any other business to come
Move
before
to
the committee?
adjourn.
Need a motion to adjourn?
You got it.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Ford. All right.